Most of the Zikanim is Zikne Beis Din. They give the Kohen Gadol Zikanim is Zikne Beis Din, and they read in front of him Beseder Hayoim. They teach him the Parsha Achrei Mois. So that seems to be every single day. That's what Rashi says. V'chen kol shivas hayomim. That's something that happens every single day. They read him Parsha Achrei Mois. V'omrim lo, and they tell him, Ishi Kohen Gadol, Master Kohen Gadol, Krata beficho. You should read Shema Shachachta. Maybe you forgot. So that was in first Beis Hamikdash. We know that the Kohen Gadol was a great person, as the Gemara said. He had to be the greatest from all his brothers in Koyach, in Noi, in Chochmo, and in Oisher. If he doesn't have enough money, so his Echav HaKoyanim give money to make him rich. So that could have happened that he forgot something. That's in Mikdash Rishon. Oyishema, Lo Lomadato happened only in Mikdash Sheni. It was a matzah that the Kohen Gadol did not learn because they used to pay money, like we saw that Malta Bat Baitois, which was a rich lady, paid a lot of money, so her husband will be the Kohen Gadol. Now, Erev Yom Kippurim Shachris, we're moving ahead. The Erev Yom Kippurim, in the morning, they would put him in Shara Mizrach, and they passed in front of him, Porim Elim Vekvasim, so he'll see the different animals and realize what avodos he has to be doing on Yom Kippur. In the Braisa, it says that they also pass Seirim. Now, the reason that Seirim are not mentioned over here is because that the Kohen Gadol, we don't want him to have a Chalishu Sadas, seeing that the people sinned, and they need a Seir for Kapara. And the par, even though it's coming on, even though the par is coming, I don't think we need this, do we? Oh, Shara Mizrach. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Whatever helps. Whatever you can get. Okay. Yeah. It's good. So the Gemara says, Shkoyach. So the Gemara says, okay, by the Kohanim, the Gemara says that we don't have a problem. The Kohen will be worried because any person in the Kohanim, the Kohen knew him and he made sure he does tshuva. Like it says that if a person has a nephew, it becomes a person working for the tax. So make sure don't see him because he'll remember you. He'll remember that you need to give money that you're not paying and he'll get you in trouble. Says the Gemara, okay, so all the 7 days they weren't moinah from him achila v'shtiyah. According to Rabbi Yehuda ben Nekuso, at the 7th day, they used to give him, according to Chachamim, the 7th day they didn't give him a lot of food. According to Rabbi Yehuda ben Nekuso, they gave him to eat soiles, it's fine flour, and I guess they made some food from this fine flour, and eggs in order to clean him out. But they said that it can cause chimum, cause what we're trying not to get the Kohen Gadol, the tumo that we're trying to prevent the Kohen Gadol from getting. So according to Rav Meir, we don't give him a bai, which is esrog, eggs, old wine, and some say that also fat meat we don't give him because it's not good, and some say also not white wine. Okay, now by Zav has a din that if a Zav ate a lot of food, no matter what type of food, he ate a lot of it, so we're going to be toile on it to say that it happened be'oines, and he's not going to be considered a Zav for Tuma. Tumas Shiva, obviously Tumas 1 day, it's even be'oines, as we learned, the Tuma of Shiva, which will lead also to Akobon at the 3rd time. So if the Zav already became a Zav, so you need Sheva Nekim. So at the days of the Shiva Nekim, we're not going to allow him to eat things that cause Tuma, and we're even more machmir than Kohen Gadol because he's already in the matzev of Zav, so we don't give him milk, cheese, eggs, wine, water of a tavshil of glisim shel pul, fat meat, and murio, something that's made out of fish, some dip. So the Gemara says other things also, no garlic, no shchalaim. Shchalaim used to be a vegetable, was very used in the olden days. Cress, I never had it. I don't know if I ever saw it. Chaloig guys, and galgir. So galgir is rocket. It's not the thing that flies to the space. It's something small. It's okay. So that's So it says if you by Elisha, he sent one of the people went to get food and he thought that it's this, and by mistake he got something poisonous, and Elisha said just put some flour in it and it will fix it. And it's called oiros because it lights the eyes. So therefore, if you can eat it, you eat it. If it's too hot for you, so just pass it on your eyes, and it will make your eyes better. Maybe it's maybe he can't for whatever reason. It's not good, whatever reason. If he can't, Rav Papa says it's only if it's a galga that grows at the corner of the meitzel of the field in a place that nothing grows next to it, that it doesn't bother it from getting the full power from the ground. If a person is a guest, so he shouldn't eat beitzim or sleep in the talis of the balabais, just in case of tumah, it will be embarrassing to him, so it's not kedai. Now the Gemara says that different Amoyroim, Rav when he went to Darshish and Rav Nachman when he went to Shachentziv, they announced who wants to be a wife for the days that we're here. And the Gemara says, but that's a problem. A person should not marry a wife in one country and go marry a wife in a different country. The problem. What? They would divorce. Or yeah, Rashi says, and meaning who wants to be the wife for the time I'm here? Oh yeah, okay. They would marry them for the time they're there, and then they would divorce them. So the Gemara says, but there's a problem. What's the problem? A person cannot marry a wife in two different countries that they don't know about each other, and maybe his son will marry his daughter, and that will fill the world with mamzerim. So the Gemara says that there's no problem because in Shidduchim everyone will know that's the daughter of Rav, that's the son of Rav. So it will be on the resume, so there won't be any problems. Rava says there's a problem of how can they be with them, because if a lady is a man proposed to her, let's get married. So once she agrees, she needs to wait 7 akim. Simon says either they announced earlier or they just were miyached them, they weren't really with them. They only had them just to have a pas b'saloi, because when a person has pas b'saloi, he's much more calm. It goes if a person has food, like in a regular day, you can go through the whole day without realizing you didn't eat. It doesn't happen on fast days. Then you notice from the morning that you're not eating. Okay. Says the Gemara. The next step. The Zikne Beis Din passed them on to Zikne Kiuno. Before they passed them on to Zikne Kiuno, they were Mashbi'im. They gave him a Shavua. They said, you are a Shliach, and the Shliach Beis Din do as we told you. And then they would all go and cry. We'll see in Daf Yutes Be'ezer Hashem why. The Gemara says that why they gave him to Zikne Kiuno, they took him to a place called Beis Avtinas. We'll see it's the second Lishka of the Kohen Gadol. He had 2 Lishkos. He had one Lishka, which is Parhedrin, where he used to sleep, which we saw in the beginning of the Maseches. And now we're seeing another Lishka, which is a Lishka of Beis Avtinas. That's where they teach him Chafino. Chafino is a very hard avodah to perform, so they have to teach him how to do it. Now it comes the night, and the night of Yom Kippur, if he's a chacham, he's doiresh. If not, other Talmidei Chachamim are doiresh to him. If he's rogi likrois, he's koire. Otherwise, they read in front of him. And Eov, Ezra, and Divrei Yomi, which are very interesting. Zechariah ben Kvuto says many times I read Lefonov and Daniel, which is also very interesting. Okay, so the Gemara says like this, that what they took him to Beis Avtinas is we're in Daf Yutes. I think there's a good simon for Yutes, I thought I saw here. Yeah, Yachik Tvilosoi, the Bimalchik, the place of the Tvilas we're going to see. And the Yutes is Tam Yivku, the reason they cry. It's a good simony for Yutes. So, Rav Papa says Kohen Gadol had 2 lishkos. One lishka was in the Tzafo, and the Gemara says that was Lishkas Parhedrin. That's where he slept. And there was another lishka in the Doro, and that was Beis Avtinas, where they taught him how to do the Chafino and how to pour it back to his hand. The Gemara said, what's the reason that they made it this way? It doesn't make so much sense, because the place he needs to go to the mikveh in the morning is all the way next to Beis Avtinas in the Dorim. So it would mean that he would have to get up in the morning, go all the way to the Dorim, go, what? Yeah. Go all the way to the Dorim, to the mikveh. See a mikveh over here, you would have to go all the way here, because this mikveh is B'chayil. There's 2 Beis Atvilo. This Beis Atvilo is in the Kodesh, which is the Kohen Gadol, all his Tvilo is on Yom Kippur. He does this one besides the first one. The first one he has to go here, because any person that goes to the bathroom for salads needs to go to a mikveh outside the Beis HaMikdash before he comes into the Azara. So usually the Kohen Gadol will go in the morning, and then he would go to this mikveh, which is all the way on the other side from his lishka, which is over here. He would have to go here, then work the whole day the avodah in the Beis Hamikdash, and then come back here at the end to learn the chafino in lishkas Beis Avtina. So the Gemara says that makes no sense to make him go back and forth. Just make him sleep over here, go to the mikveh, work, and at the end of the day, go learn chafina on the other side. So the Gemara says there is a reason, because we want the Kohen Gadol, if he's a tzduki, he should say, well, that's too much for me, I'm out of here. And if he's not a tzduki, we want him to not be begaiva. So we make him work a little bit. So the Gemara says, because if not, we would make his two lishkos one next to each other, or just give him one lishko for everything, which would save him a lot of walking back and forth. Because Rav Papa said that he had two lishkos, so the Gemara already explains everything that was around the lishko in the over here. The Gemara says there's lishka sagazis, and there's this lishka, which is the Gemara says what? Yeah, the lishka sagoyla. Thank you. There was a be'er over here, a well that they brought water for all the azara from here. And yeah, you were right. I needed this. Or I didn't. Now it's making me trouble. I have to find all the places. Okay, so the Gemara says, in Lishkas Agozis, they had a special thing. They were judging the Kohanim to see which Kohen is a Kohen and which not. Whoever was a Kohen made a party, wore white clothes, was nichnas inside. Whoever didn't, wore black clothes and walk outside. The Gemara goes through the different shiurim and the different things that are here. Okay, so then the Gemara says that we saw in the Mishnah that they mashbiah him. What do they tell him? You're ar shaliach. The Gemara says, but Rav Huna ben Rav Yoshua says that the Kohanim are the shluchim of Hashem. Why? Because there's a rule, anything I can't do myself, I can't appoint a shliach to do for me. So if they made him into a shaliach, so if a Kohen performs avodah in the Beis Hamikdash as my shliach, so how can it be my shliach? I can't do it. So must be the shliach of Hashem to do it for me. So the Gemara says, you're right, it doesn't mean that they were a shliach, it just means they say, we're making you take a shavua on our das. Meaning, when you take the shavua, you're taking it with what we mean, don't mean something else. When you take the shavua, that's what it means. Shlichuenu shliach beis din in the shavua. Now, why are they crying? He's crying because they were worried that he's a tzduki. And they're crying because it says if someone is choshet v'ksherim, he's loike begufo, he gets punished. So the Gemara says, so why get into all this mess? The Gemara says, because we're worried that he's going to do like a tzduki. The tzdukim used to put the ktoires and the coals outside and then bring it inside burning and not put it when they're inside the Kodesh HaKodashim. And we want to make sure it's not going to happen. That's why we make him take the Shavua. The Gemara brings a story that the tzduki did that, but his father told him that it was not a smart thing to do. And the Gemara says two different stories what happened with him afterwards. Either that he died and worms were coming out of his nose, or when he was walking outside, he got a kick from a malach, so therefore he had between his two shoulders, he had a thing that looks like a regel of a egel. That the malachim have, it says reglem kikaf regel egel, so he got a kick and got knocked down. The Gemara says, kvutol, Chiyah Barav, his Rebbe, Rav Chanon Barova, was teaching him kfutal with a fei. He told him no, he showed him with his hand. The Gemara says, why didn't he tell him? The Gemara says he was in the middle of Kriyat Shema. The Gemara says in the middle of Kriyat Shema, you can't even make sign languages. So the Gemara says, it was at the second parsha of Kriyat Shema, so therefore the Dvar Mitzvah, you could make sign languages. Okay, the Gemara says, v'dibart abam, you should talk bekol, you should talk loud when you're learning Torah, but not when you're davening Shmoneh Esrei. Also, you should talk in Divrei Torah, not talk in other things, and do it bekeva, don't do it arai. Get yourself serious, do it every day. Okay, the Gemara says if a person is sach sichaschun, if a person is just sitting and talking things which don't make a difference, not for his parnaso, just for killing time, so he's over on a mitzvah saseh that it says v'dibart abam, and according to Rav Acha Bar Yaakov, he's also over on a lav that he brings from the pasuk in Koheles. Okay, what happens if the Kohen Gadol wants to go to sleep? So the Pirkei Kehuna wake him up, and they tell him to do a special thing which is called Kida. We'll see tomorrow in Shir what it is, and they're masik him until the time of Shchita. Okay, the Gemara says they would sing, and they would sing only bepeh, and they would sing if Hashem lo yivne bayis shavlu amlu boina boy, and Yakir Yerushalayim would learn the whole night to make noise for the Kohen Gadol to keep them up. Later in history, it became a custom to stay up and walk around in the streets at night because they just kept the custom of staying up. And the Gemara says, and that led to very bad aveiros, and therefore Mashiach didn't come because bad things were happening even on Yom Kippur. And Hashem is saying, it's not a good idea to go outside when there's a big happening. But you should do something and be with good people. It says, separate the men and the women, and it will all be good Bezrat Hashem. That was the mistake, that they didn't do that. Okay. So now, we'll see more about the ladies on Daf Tes, Be'ezer Hashem. So the Gemara asks, on Daf Ches Amud Beis, the Gemara asked that it used to be called the Lishka of the Parhedrin, used to be called in the olden days the Lishka of the Sorim. It turned to be the Lishka of Parhedrin because, as we saw, Mamish working together. In the first Beis HaMikdash, the Kohanim were really worth it, and they lived long. And in the Beis HaMikdash Sheni, they were switched every 12 months, so therefore it was called Parhedrin. We saw the word Parhedrin also in the Mishnah, that the bakers, Chachamim, didn't make them be mafrish Meiser Sheni. They were soymech on the fact that the Rov Amei Haaretz are me'aser, and the reason is because the Parhedrin used to beat them up to tell them to sell for cheap. They did have to obviously be mafrish Chalo, and they were mafrish Trumas Meiser. The Truma Gedoylo, there is no need because always Amei Haaretz mafrishim. Meiser Rishon, Meiser Oni, since a regular Jew is allowed to eat them, so they were mafrish it, but they kept it to themselves because Amoitzi Mechavero Olav Arayo. The Gemara says, Yiras Hashem Toisif Yomi is Mikdash Rishon, that 410 years there was only 18 Kohanim Gedolim. We saw different Girsois in that. Shnois Rishon Tiktzalno is Mikdash Sheni, that was 420 years, and from the 420 there was more than 300 Kohanim. And take off from the 420, 40 years for Shimon HaTzadik, another 80 years for Yochanan Kohen Gadol, another 10 for Rabbi Shmuel ben Pavi, and some say also another 11 for Rabbi Lozo ben Charsoim, which leaves 279 years for all the rest. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Toto says the reason is because they used to buy it for money, like we saw with Marta Bat Baitois on today's daf. Rabbi Yochanan ben Broik ben Toto says another thing. He says the reason that Shiloh was Nechov is because of Giloi Arayos and Bizui Kochim. So Giloi Arayos, some say it's literally, some say it wasn't literally. They just weren't makriv the ladies' pigeons, so they had to wait, and they were not going back to their husbands. So the pasuk is machshivit as if they were with them. Bizui and Kochim, the Gemara says they didn't want to wait until to be makriv the chaylev. They wanted to take the meat before. They wanted it fresh because they wanted to make barbecue. They didn't want to have it cooked. Mikdash Rishon was necha because of Avodah Zorah, Gilui Arayos v'Shvichus Damim. That was done. Much of it was done by Menashe. What? For what? For Tes? The siman for Tes is the Amud Aleph is Tevel, and Amud Beis is Tisha B'Av, which is very good, right? Tisha B'Av. So Hashem, the Rabbi Yonason used to cry that it says in the Apostle that Hashem looked as when the Jewish nation brought the Avodah Zorah into the Beis HaMikdash, as if it's a tzara to him, as if they took another, as if like a husband takes another wife, the way the wife feels, or the way the last baby feels when there's a new baby coming home. The Gemara says Gilui Arayos. Also, the Gemara says that the Bnei Tzion were behaving in a way, they were walking in the Tuyos Gorain and Meshakos Enayim, and they made themselves look tall. And they were married ladies. Yeah, they were married ladies, and they were doing things to attract people to them. And they actually succeeded, but that was a terrible thing. Rav Yitzchak says that they also did do a perfume. They spritzed on the Bachrim. And the Dam Naki, Menashe poured a lot of dam. So it's either that he killed a lot of people with his Avodah Zorah, or he killed his grandfather, Yeshayahu. Mikdash Sheni, they were Isaac and Torah and Yunus Chasadim, but they had Sinas Chinam. In the first place of Mikdash, the Sinas Chinam did not spread to the nation. It was only among the Nesim, not among the whole nation. And the Gemara says that you see that the Rishonim, their Averos was revealed, and their Kates, the Kates of the Galus, we know it was known to be for 70 years, but the Achronim, did their Averos weren't hidden, so also their Kates is hidden. And it seems to be that even though the Achronim are Isaac B'Torah, Rabbi Yochanan proves that the Rishonim were much greater because the Beis HaMikdash returned to them and did not return to us. The Gemara says that Rish Lakish was in the Yarden, and Rabbi Bar Chana gave him a hand, and he told him, Hashem, so Rish Lakish told him, Hashem hates you guys, why didn't you guys come all together? If you would come all together, then we would have a full Geula at the second Beis HaMikdash, and because of you guys didn't come together, so then the Ruach HaKodesh went away and they only had a baskoil. And Rabbi Yochanan told him it's not the reason. The reason is that the Shechina is only Sheire, and the Beis HaMikdash that Shlomo HaMelech built from, that comes from Shem, but the after Leikim Liefes doesn't bring Shechina, just a beautiful bais. And the Gemara says that Rish Lakish would not really talk to Rabbi Bar Chana, so the story has to be fixed. Because even to Rabbi Lozo, which is Mara de Arad Yisrael, didn't speak, so for sure not to Rabbi Bar Chana. So either it was Rish Lakish with Zeiri, or Rabbi Bar Chana gave a hand to Rabbi Lozo, which was in 5 minutes. Okay, so let's try doing from Daf Ches, from Daf Yud, whatever we can see. So Daf Yud, the simon for Daf Yud is Yefes. Okay, so the people, the sons of Yefet, the Gemara goes through the different sons of Yefet, and the youngest son of Yefet is Tiras, and Tiras is Poros, and they built the second Beis HaMikdash. Rav Yosef said, okay, now the Gemara says that Nimrod, the different place he ruled, and Ashur left the place, and he built many, many different places. One of them was Ninveh, which is the Ir HaGdoilo, as we know that it was the Ir HaGdoilo Ma'alach Shloishes Yomi. And the Gemara is darshaning also the names of Achiman, Sheishai, Vetalmai. Achiman was the strongest, Loshan Yamin. Sheishai, he used to be masim daretz keshichosos. He was to be like a beam of marble, and every place he went, he just made holes in the ground. And Talmai used to make who gives me the word? Furrows. He used to make furrows when he used to go. Okay, I don't know if I'll ever learn this word. Furrows. Okay. Furrows. Okay. Be'ezer Hashem, one day. Maybe after we'll do it 10 times. Omar Rabbi Shimon Levi. Omar Rebbe, the Durome will fall in the hands of Poros. And the reason is also a Kal V'chomer. It's also in the Pasuk that Tzeirei Atzoin, and the youngest boy of Yefet is Poros. And there's also a Kal V'chomer that if the first Beis HaMikdash the Persians didn't build, but the Kasdim destroyed it, so they fell into the hands of the Persians. So for sure, the second Beis HaMikdash, which was built by the Parsim, and the Romans destroyed it, they'll fall into the hands of the Parsim. That's one opinion. Rav says that no, at the end of days, Poros will fall into the hands of Rome. Either it's just like Zeras Melech, or also they destroy Shulz, so they also deserve to fall, and they'll fall into the hands of Rome at the end of days, because, like Rav Yudah said, the name of Rav, that Mashiach is not going to come until Malchus Roimi HaResho will be pushed B'kol HaOlam Kuloi for 9 months, and then there will be a full Geula. The Gemara says, now we get to the Sugi of Mezuzah. All the Leshachos which were in the Mikdash did not have a Mezuzah besides the Lishkas Parhedrin, because the Kohen Gadol was living there. And according to Rabbi Yudah, it's not the reason. There were many Leshachos in the Beis HaMikdash that the Kohanim were sleeping in, but yet they did not need a Mezuzah. And the reason is because there's a Gezerah that people should not think that the Kohen Gadol is in jail. So now, what's the reason of Rabbi Yudah? The first explanation was that because it's a house which is not made for the summer and winter. The Gemara said that it's not true, because we see that the Sukkah Sachag B'Chag, according to Rabbi Yudah, it's Chayav and Mezuzah, and Chacham Ar Poiter, and the Sukkah of the Chag is only for a week, not for the summer and the winter. So Abaye wanted to say that they argue only about the other days of the year, not about the days that it's actually being in use. But the Gemara says the Machlekes over here is about Sukkah Sachag B'Chag, so we're talking about the days that it's being used. So Rava says that the rest of the days of the year, according to everyone, it's Patu. The Machlekes is in the 7 days. And there's different reasons by Sukkah and by the lishka of the Kohen Gadol. By Sukkah, according to Rabbi, it's a diras keva, so therefore it needs a mezuzah. According to Chachamim, it's a diras sara, it does not need a mezuzah. In the lishka of the Kohen Gadol is a different reason. Chachamim hold that dira bal kolcho needs a mezuzah, and that's why it was mechuyav. And according to Rabbi, dira bal kolcho does not need a mezuzah. So the only reason that it needed a mezuzah is midirabanan. So they shouldn't say that the Kohen Gadol is chavush b'beis ha'asurim. Called to